unlocking the secret to making them regret leaving you. Let's not waste any time. You're here because you're curious about whether they'll ever return. Perhaps you're caught in a loop, replaying every single action you took and every word you uttered, pondering if there was something you could have done differently to alter the outcome. Or maybe you're holding on to hope, waiting for the day they realize that leaving was the biggest mistake of their life. But let me pose a question. What if everything you've been told about making someone regret their departure is fundamentally flawed? What if the common advice of going silent, implementing no contact, and waiting for them to reach out isn't actually the key to rekindling that connection? Today, we are going to turn the narrative on its head. This discussion isn't about ignoring them in the hopes that they will miss you. It's not about engaging in mind games or anxiously waiting by the phone. Instead, it's about grasping one simple, undeniable truth, a truth so potent that when you embrace it, 99% of those who left won't just regret their decision, they will actively pursue you. Yes, they will chase you. And no, this isn't about manipulation or deceit. It's rooted in psychology and the fundamental nature of human behavior. People do not regret losing someone who pleads for them to stay. They do not feel remorse for someone who simply waits around. They regret losing someone who becomes unattainable, someone they can no longer reach in the same way they once could. This wisdom was recognized by Stoic philosophers centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of controlling what you can and letting go of what you cannot. Epictetus taught that true strength lies not in reacting to others but in mastering oneself. This is precisely what we will explore today, the modern interpretation of that wisdom. We will discuss how to evolve into a version of yourself that they cannot forget, a version that compels them to reconsider everything, a version that makes them realize too late that they lost someone truly irreplaceable. However, there is a crucial point to understand. This transformation is not about feigning confidence or pretending to move on while secretly wishing for their attention. It is about genuine transformation, an evolution that not only makes them regret their departure but also leads you to stop caring about whether they do. The moment you redirect your focus from them to yourself, that is when the power dynamic shifts. That is when their minds begin to race, and regret starts to seep in. This is not a quick fix. It is not about sending them a single text that will make them rush back to you. This is about stepping into your own truth, claiming your power, and changing the game permanently. So, I encourage you to stay with me until the end, as the insights I am about to share will not only alter your perception of them but will also transform how you view yourself. Once you recognize what is possible, you will never revert to waiting, pleading, or hoping for someone to acknowledge your worth. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to show your support. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. This helps spread this message to more individuals who need to hear it. If you are genuinely committed to transformation, consider joining the Ace Wisdom family by becoming a channel member. Click the link in the description, and together we can create even more impactful content. Now, I want you to drop this mantra in the comments. I am the prize. I own my truth. They will chase me, but I am untouchable. Write it down, claim it, and own it, because when you adopt this mindset, everything changes. Let's get started. Stay focused, as the first thing they need to experience is a sense of loss. The moment they feel that loss, everything shifts. They won't return out of guilt. They won't come back simply because they miss conversing with you, nor will they return solely because they regret leaving. They come back when they truly feel the weight of their loss. The pain of loss, especially in a relationship, isn't just a fleeting sadness. It's a deep-seated earthquake that can shatter someone's perceptions. It's the kind of loss that forces them to reevaluate every decision they made about you, about the relationship, about its ending. They begin to question if they truly understood what they had. But here's the crucial point. They won't genuinely feel that loss, that profound sense of regret, as long as they believe you're still emotionally available to them. As long as they think they can reach out whenever they feel like it, and as long as they casually assume you'll always be waiting, hoping, essentially holding a torch for them, they remain insulated from the true consequences of their actions. That's why so many people never experience that aha moment of regret from their ex. Their former partner never truly feels the sting of their absence. Loss doesn't manifest through pleading, begging, or trying to convince someone of your worth. It doesn't magically appear while you're passively sitting in silence, merely hoping they'll wake up one day and recognize your value. Loss happens when they realize that something they once took completely for granted, your presence, your support, your love, is irrevocably gone. That's the fundamental shift you need to create. And let's be clear, this isn't about manipulative games or disappearing just to engineer a chase. This isn't about some petty power play. It's about evolving into someone they never envisioned losing, someone magnetic, independent, and seemingly untouchable. Think of it as leveling up, becoming the best version of yourself. You might be asking, so, should I go no contact? Should I completely vanish from their life? The answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. This isn't about punishing them or trying to win the breakup. It's about completely flipping the script. It's about them perceiving you as someone irreplaceable, not because you're consciously trying to make them feel that way, but because you've genuinely transformed into someone who is irreplaceable. Maybe you've discovered a new passion, focused on your career, or deepened your connections with friends and family. Whatever it is, it's genuine growth, not a performance. There's a fundamental truth in human psychology: we value what feels scarce, and we chase what we fear we can't have. Right now, they likely don't perceive you as scarce. They feel safe and secure in the knowledge of your perceived availability. They think they know exactly who you are, how you'll react, and how long it will take for you to reach out. In their minds, you're predictable, and predictability breeds comfort. And as long as they're comfortable, they won't feel the sharp pang of true loss. Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." That's precisely the space you need to cultivate in their mind. They need to start imagining the profound implications of losing you forever. And that only happens when they witness a version of you that is no longer tethered to them. When they look at you and realize that you're not just surviving without them, but thriving, that's when the seeds of regret begin to sprout. This isn't about aggressively blocking them, engaging in angry outbursts, or pointedly ignoring them just to prove a point. It's about demonstrating through your actions, your growth, and your unwavering confidence that you are no longer the person they left behind. You've evolved. Think of it like a fire. If you constantly feed it with fuel and oxygen, it will continue to burn brightly. But the moment you remove the oxygen supply, the fire inevitably dies. Right now, they operate under the assumption that they can still have access to you whenever they desire. They presume you'll still care, still react, and still be emotionally available. Take away that assumption. Not by explicitly announcing it or desperately trying to prove anything to them, but by proving it to yourself through your actions. This transformation isn't for them, it's for *U*. Because here's what happens next. When you genuinely step into your power and embrace your new, improved self, the dynamic inevitably shifts. Suddenly, they're no longer the ones in control, *U*. And that's when the creeping tendrils of fear begin to snake their way into their consciousness. The quiet, nagging thought that maybe, just maybe, they made the biggest mistake of their life starts to take root. And that thought grows, gnawing at them in unexpected ways, far more effectively than any confrontation or dramatic gesture ever could. Because now, they don't just regret leaving, they don't just passively miss you. They actively want you back, not because you begged, not because you waited, not because you did anything to cater to their desires, but because you stopped being theirs. And nothing cultivates regret faster than the sudden, painful realization that something precious, someone precious, is gone forever and can never be recovered. What you so carelessly threw away remains important because now we're going to break down exactly how to make that happen step by step, backed by real psychology and scientific studies. 2. Make them doubt everything. Watch what happens once they feel the loss. This is the moment where their mind starts working against them, replaying every memory, conversation, and reason they thought leaving was a good idea. Suddenly, none of it feels so certain anymore. But here's the thing, doubt doesn't just appear on its own. It grows from silence and doesn't come from you chasing them. It happens when they look at you and realize they don't recognize you anymore. When everything feels familiar, they only start questioning when something changes. Why so many people struggle after a breakup? They either do what's expected, chase, beg, try to prove their worth, or vanish completely. Silence will do the work, but neither of these actions create doubt. Chasing makes you look desperate, disappearing makes you forgettable. What truly makes them doubt everything is seeing a version of you they never expected. Imagine someone walking away from a restaurant they used to visit all the time, assuming it's still the same, still serving the same food, and still running the same way. But what if one day they pass by and everything is different? New menu, design, energy suddenly makes them wonder, did they walk away from something amazing? That's exactly the effect you want to create when they see you moving forward without hesitation, growing, thriving, focused. This is called the scarcity effect. When we believe something is limited, we want it more. Psychologists call this the seed of doubt. Let's not forget the wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you'll find strength. The energy you need comes from seeing yourself unshaken, calm, and focused on your own life. This transforms your perception of you and shows them that they no longer have control over your emotions. When they see you unshaken, they'll change completely. Stay locked in because next we'll break down exactly how to make this shift happen. Real science-backed moves show you've leveled up in ways you never imagined. 3 things will spark this transformation. Desire ignites. We've talked about loss. We've talked about doubt. Now comes the spark that really flips everything. Desire, not the shallow, fleeting kind, will lead us through this journey. There's something incredibly powerful about the way someone can feel an irresistible pull toward you, one that keeps them lying awake at night, replaying every memory you two shared. This isn't just any kind of longing, it's a deep, visceral desire that cuts through apathy and forces them to see you in a new light, as someone far more captivating than they ever realized. Right now, they likely believe they've got you all figured out. They think they understand your reactions, predict your words, and anticipate your actions if they were to re-enter your life. That sense of familiarity is what gives them comfort, allowing them to dismiss the breakup without much thought. But here's the thing, true desire doesn't thrive in the realm of predictability. Instead, it flourishes when there's mystery, curiosity, and the dawning realization that maybe, just maybe, they underestimated you the whole time. This journey isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about unlocking the parts of yourself that have always been there but may have gone unnoticed, qualities like strength, focus, and self-assurance that surpass anything they ever credited you with. Imagine yourself as a phoenix rising from ashes they assumed would forever remain cold and lifeless. You aren't becoming a completely different person, rather, you're letting your untapped potential shine in ways they never took the time to notice. When they realize you aren't chasing after them anymore, it's like a door slams shut on their old assumptions. Suddenly, doubts creep into their mind. Why aren't you seeking their approval? Why aren't you desperate for their time? How are you thriving without me? Did I lose my influence over you? These questions ignite a spark of curiosity, which eventually transforms into genuine desire when they see you standing confidently on your own, radiating a quiet determination that screams, "I have better things to do than wait around." Enter a touch of Stoic wisdom here. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Apply this idea to your situation. If you're still yearning for their attention, you're handing over all your power to them. However, the moment you stop needing their validation, you become something rare and precious in their eyes, someone they want but can no longer easily possess. Some people might argue, isn't this just manipulation? Aren't you trying to play games with their emotions? The truth is, it only becomes a game if you're faking it. If your sole purpose is to win them back by orchestrating your life around their return, then yes, you're still trapped in their orbit. But if you're genuinely focused on improving yourself, working on your mental health, pursuing your ambitions, nurturing your passions, you're simply revealing the incredible person they let slip away. And that's not manipulation, it's reality hitting them like a tidal wave. Think of it this way. Imagine walking out of an art gallery where someone left prematurely, convinced they'd seen everything worth seeing. Then, suddenly, they stumble upon a breathtaking exhibit they somehow missed, an experience that's brilliant, captivating, and utterly unexpected. That's you. The moment they realize you're no longer the same painting they casually glanced at before, desire takes hold, not because you're unfamiliar, but because you're evolving into the most authentic, fascinating version of yourself. Of course, some skepticism might linger. What if they don't notice the changes you've made? What if they move on without giving you a second thought? The honest answer is that there's always a chance they might remain oblivious. But here's the silver lining: this process isn't solely for their benefit. It's for you. By committing to becoming the best version of yourself, you come out ahead regardless of what they decide. If they return, it will be because they're drawn to the remarkable person you've become. If they stay away, you'll still have grown beyond the person you used to be. Either way, you win. Achieving personal victory is something that stays with you for a lifetime. You might wonder if simply ignoring those who have hurt you is sufficient. Ask yourself, will remaining silent truly enhance your sense of strength and well-being over time? Likely, the answer is no. Real growth involves taking action, pursuing what brings you joy, setting exciting goals, and caring for both your mental and physical health. When you radiate genuine happiness from within, others will notice. People are naturally drawn to energy that feels unique and vibrant. It's important to remember that your intention is not to harm or seek revenge. Rather, you are demonstrating that you can feel complete without their presence. When they observe you flourishing, the dynamics change. You become the one in control, and they come to realize that they have forfeited the privilege of your unwavering attention. This realization serves as a profound wake-up call. Desire is an incredibly potent force. It's that restless feeling that keeps individuals awake at night, pondering how they allowed something so remarkable to slip away. Once that spark ignites, it becomes nearly impossible to ignore. Therefore, maintain your focus on your own journey and allow them to watch from afar until they can no longer resist the allure of your transformation. When you fully embrace your own power, they will inevitably feel that magnetic attraction, and that's when everything shifts. Next, let's discuss the importance of earning their respect, which can be a game changer. After experiencing loss, feelings of doubt and desire may stir within them, but there's one final element that can completely alter the situation: respect. Picture this scenario. Your ex might find themselves missing you, questioning their choices, or even longing for another chance. However, without respect, all that yearning fades into insignificance. They may reach out, but they will never truly appreciate you or treat you with the care you deserve if respect is absent from the foundation of your transformation. Let's be honest, respect cannot be forced, begged for, or created through superficial gestures. It is something that must be earned. It arises naturally when you establish clear boundaries, hold your head high, and allow your actions to speak louder than words. When you exude self-respect, it becomes evident that you are someone who will not settle for anything less than what you deserve. Consider this analogy. Think of a rare vintage car parked on a bustling street. It garners admiration not just because it exists, but because its value, history, and uniqueness shine through every polished detail. That car doesn't plead for attention, it commands it simply by being authentic. Similarly, your ex must recognize that you are not just surviving in their absence, You are thriving because you have elevated your standards and redefined your self-worth. Some may question, what if they still attempt to undermine me? What if they perceive my actions as overreactions? The answer is straightforward. They will only recognize your strength if you allow them to. If you permit your boundaries to be crossed or your kindness to be exploited, you are signaling that you are willing to accept less than you deserve. Conversely, when you stand firm and demonstrate that you will not tolerate disrespect, you flip the narrative. You transition from being a passive element in their life to becoming a force that demands recognition and respect. This transformation is not about becoming cold or distant overnight. True respect is cultivated through living authentically, with integrity and purpose. When you show that you are in control of your own life and that your happiness does not depend on their approval, you become like a lighthouse standing tall amidst a storm. They may have previously taken you for granted, but as you continue to shine brighter each day, they will begin to grasp the true significance of what they have lost. There's a famous quote often attributed to Marcus Aurelius that goes something like this: "Stop wasting time debating what it means to be a good person, just be one." This timeless piece of advice fits perfectly here because actions always speak louder than words. You don't need to convince others of your worth through endless explanations or arguments. Instead, let your behavior do the talking. Every time you stay true to your values, every time you refuse to accept anything less than authentic respect, you're not only sending a powerful message to your ex but also rewriting your own story. Picture this. Imagine walking into a room and commanding respect simply by being present, confident, and purposeful. That's the energy you want to embody. When your ex sees you living life on your terms, making choices that uplift you, pursuing passions, and striving toward ambitious goals, they won't be able to ignore the transformation. It's not about changing for them, it's about evolving for yourself. In doing so, you'll discover a version of yourself that's not just resilient but also incredibly attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who know their worth and live it unapologetically. But how do you sustain this newfound respect? What happens if your ex tries to push back against your boundaries? The secret lies in consistency. Respect isn't built overnight, it grows over time through small, intentional decisions that reflect your self-worth. Think of it like constructing a fortress, brick by brick. Each time you stand firm in the face of disrespect, each time you prioritize your dignity over fleeting comfort, you're adding another layer of strength to that fortress. Over time, it becomes impenetrable, sending a crystal-clear message that you're no longer someone to be underestimated or manipulated. Consider the image of a river carving its path through a rugged landscape. It doesn't stop when it encounters an obstacle. Instead, it finds a way to flow around, over, or even through the rock. Your journey to earning respect works much the same way. It's about persistence, about continuing to move forward despite any hurdles. With every step, you reinforce your sense of identity and make it abundantly clear that your standards aren't up for negotiation. At the core of everything is respect. Without it, all the lingering what ifs and desires fade into irrelevance. But with it, you become a pillar of strength, an individual whose value is undeniable, not just to yourself but to everyone around you. When your ex finally realizes that you're no longer available to be taken for granted, that you've grown into someone they can't simply walk back into their life whenever they please, they'll have to confront a difficult truth. They'll come to grips with the fact that they didn't just lose a partner, they lost someone who radiates respect and unwavering self-worth. And that realization? It changes everything. Now is the time to step boldly into this new chapter of your life. Embrace the power of setting boundaries, standing tall, and showing the world, and especially your ex, that respect isn't handed out freely. It's earned. When they see you as someone who refuses to settle for anything less than you deserve, they'll begin to question whether they ever truly understood your value. And in that moment of reckoning, everything shifts. This brings us to the fifth and final stage, regret. This is where all the pieces fall into place. After you've stirred feelings of loss, doubt, desire, and respect within your ex, The culmination of these emotions leads to regret. Not the kind of regret fueled by guilt or shame, but a profound, soul-stirring regret that forces them to confront the reality of their mistake. Letting you go wasn't just a bad decision, it was possibly the worst decision they've ever made. To put it another way, think of watching a masterfully crafted play from the audience. You observe each act, each pause, each twist in the plot. But then there comes a pivotal moment when you realize you've missed the most crucial scene, the one that ties everything together. That's exactly what happens when regret strikes. Suddenly, everything clicks into perspective, and the full weight of their error becomes impossible to ignore. There's a powerful emotion that acts as the glue holding everything together, and it often makes itself known in the wake of a missed opportunity. That emotion is regret. In the realm of relationships, regret is that poignant moment when someone finally grasps the profound significance of what they've lost. It's the instant they realize the person they once knew has blossomed into someone utterly irreplaceable. They might try to reassure themselves that they're perfectly fine, that moving on will be a breeze. They might even convince themselves that there's a better match out there, waiting just around the corner. But regret has a way of sneaking up on them, especially when they witness you thriving, evolving, and radiating a light that simply cannot be dimmed. When they scroll through your social media feed and are confronted with snapshots of your personal growth, your exciting adventures, and your impressive achievements, they're forced to confront a harsh reality. The version of you they once had access to is now untouchable, out of reach. Imagine a rare and precious book, once read. Its true value is only fully understood after it's been removed from the shelf. The pages that once turned so easily now echo in the silence of an empty library, a testament to what's no longer there. This is a prime example of the endowment effect in action, the psychological phenomenon where we tend to value something more once it's lost, especially when we realize it can't be replaced. You might be wondering, why should I even care about their regret? The answer is straightforward. This isn't about seeking validation from them or trying to make them feel sorry for their decision. It's about you reaching a point where your personal growth is so profound, so transformative, that their regret becomes an inevitable byproduct. It's the natural consequence of your evolution, a clear signal that you've moved far beyond the person they once knew. Consider the insightful words of Epictetus, who wisely stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When they see how gracefully you've handled the breakup, transforming pain into power, they're forced to reassess their own judgment. They start to question whether they ever truly recognized your worth or appreciated the potential of the future you both could have built together. The regret that follows is not a result of any malicious intent on your part. Rather, it's the inevitable outcome of your unwavering commitment to your own well-being and growth. Picture a dedicated painter who has spent years meticulously perfecting a masterpiece, only to have someone carelessly walk away before fully appreciating the artwork's depth and beauty. Later, as they gaze at the finished piece from a distance, they begin to comprehend the unique vision and skill that went into its creation, realizing too late that the masterpiece was something no other could replicate. That is the profound power of regret. It forces them to acknowledge that what they had was extraordinary and that its loss has irrevocably altered their own future. Some might ponder whether this transformation means you're completely out of reach forever, or if it simply makes you a challenge to conquer. The truth is, when you embrace your full potential, you cease to be a prize to be won or lost. Instead, you become a standard of excellence that others can only aspire to reach. In this context, regret is not about playing mind games or seeking revenge. It is the natural outcome of someone recognizing that they have let go of something truly remarkable, a once-in-a-lifetime presence that now exists only as a bittersweet memory. Imagine a once vibrant and fertile garden that has been neglected by its caretaker. Initially, the garden's vibrant colors and intoxicating scents may start to fade. But as you pour your energy into nurturing a new garden, the contrast between the two becomes undeniable. The caretaker, upon seeing the flourishing new garden, is struck with the realization that what they abandoned was never meant to be replaced. This, in essence, is the very core of regret, a slow, lingering burn that serves as a constant reminder of what could have been. Imagine a small ember that gradually grows into a roaring fire, consuming the doubts and regrets that stem from a missed opportunity for something truly unique and irreplaceable. You might wonder, how can you ensure that such regret takes root in them? The answer doesn't lie in actions designed solely to provoke remorse. Instead, it's about living so authentically and fully in your truth that every step you take becomes a powerful testament to your own worth. When you elevate every aspect of your life, emotionally, mentally, and physically, you create an environment where regret becomes an inevitable byproduct of their oversight. They start to realize that they didn't just lose a partner, they lost a future brimming with potential, passion, and an unwavering commitment to personal excellence. This transformation isn't a quick fix or a fleeting moment of revenge. It's a profound, long-term shift in who you are and how you live your life. The regret they feel is merely a reflection of the powerful metamorphosis you've undergone. It's a burden they carry, a constant reminder of the opportunity they allowed to slip through their fingers. Meanwhile, you continue to build a life of unparalleled richness and purpose. When regret finally sets in, it's not because you orchestrated it to hurt them. It's because you've become a force of nature, a person whose value is so undeniable that their miscalculation resonates with them like an echo in a vast canyon. This is a natural human response to the realization that they've lost something priceless, something that only grows more brilliant with time. In that moment, every doubt they harbored and every moment of loss they pretended to feel is overshadowed by the overwhelming truth that they made a monumental error in judgment. In the end, regret serves as the final, unassailable proof that your transformation is complete. It's the ultimate testament to your journey, a journey marked by resilience, growth, and a deep understanding of your own worth. Once they are forced to confront this truth, everything changes. As the final shift occurs, your ex may experience not just loss, doubt, desire, respect, and regret, but also a deep, undeniable insecurity, a raw, soul-searching realization that what they once had is now completely out of reach. This isn't about superficial remorse or a fleeting moment of regret. It's about an emotion so profound that it shakes them to their core, leaving them awake at night, staring into the mirror and questioning every choice they've ever made. They begin to see that letting you go wasn't just a mistake, it was the ultimate miscalculation, one that cost them the best thing that ever happened to them. Imagine watching a dance that was once perfectly synchronized. Over time, the rhythm changes, and the once familiar moves become alien. That unsettling gap is where insecurity is born. They see you evolving into someone far beyond the predictable patterns they once exploited, and they're left grappling with the fact that they no longer hold the power to define you. They realize that every moment they thought they controlled your destiny has slipped right through their fingers. This isn't about seeking revenge or reveling in their suffering. It's about them confronting the stark truth of what they gave up when they see you thriving in a world filled with opportunities, joy, and success, without even a whisper of need for their validation. This forces them into a corner, making them wonder if they ever truly understood your worth or if they were just comfortable in the familiarity of a relationship that no longer served either of you. This isn't about settling scores. It's about the natural outcome of living authentically. In psychology, there's a concept known as the endowment effect, which suggests that we often idealize what we've lost. Once something is gone, its perceived value tends to skyrocket in our minds. When your ex sees you thriving, mentally, emotionally, and physically, they start to fill in the gaps with a narrative of what might have been. They begin to romanticize the past, clinging to memories that now seem all the more precious because they're out of reach. Questions start swirling. Could I ever be that person? How did I let this happen? With every unanswered question, a seed of insecurity takes root, growing stronger with each passing day. Consider it like a grand, ancient oak tree that stood firm and familiar, its branches comforting and constant in the landscape of your life. But one day, you decide to plant a new garden, a vibrant display of colors and life that outshines that old oak. The mere sight of this new garden forces your ex to reckon with the fact that what they once knew has been replaced by something far more magnificent, something they never had the strength to cultivate themselves. They start to see the gap between who they are and who they need to be if they ever hope to reclaim what they lost. Some might ask, isn't it enough that they feel regret? But regret alone doesn't change the dynamics. Regret is that initial spark, a moment of clarity when they realize that you were the one who could have been irreplaceable. Insecurity, however, digs deeper. It's the relentless whisper in their ear that tells them they're not good enough, that they never truly measured up to the person you've become. This insecurity forces them to question every decision, every moment of complacency, until they are left with the bitter taste of their own inadequacy. As Epictetus wisely noted, it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. When you react by turning your pain into power, by building a life that's richer, more fulfilling, and entirely your own, you leave them with no choice but to confront their own shortcomings. They watch as you navigate the world with confidence, setting boundaries, and chasing your dreams. In doing so, you send a powerful message: you are not defined by what you lost but by what you've become. And that message is one that cuts straight through their ego, leaving them feeling small, uncertain, and undeniably insecure. Imagine a skilled sailor who, after a storm, rebuilds their ship stronger than ever. The sailor's new vessel isn't just seaworthy, it's a masterpiece of resilience and innovation. When your ex sees you sailing these new waters, they're forced to acknowledge that their old map, the one they relied on to keep you anchored, is now obsolete. They can no longer chart a course that brings you back into their harbor because you've set sail towards horizons they never dared to dream of. They might wonder, how did this happen? When did I lose control? The answer is simple: you stopped allowing yourself to be controlled by their expectations. You stopped molding yourself into someone who fit into their world. Instead, you embraced your individuality, your passions, and your inherent worth. In doing so, you transformed into someone who can't be pinned down, a force of nature that demands respect and admiration. When they see that, it triggers an insecurity so profound. Imagine a song that you've danced to for years, its melody and rhythm as familiar as your own heartbeat. Suddenly, the tune changes, evolving into a complex symphony full of surprises and bold new notes. This transformation is impossible to ignore, leaving you wondering if you can ever learn the new melody or if you've already been left behind. This feeling of insecurity is what drives people to act, to scramble for a way back to something they once took for granted. It's not about making your ex feel inferior, but rather compelling them to confront their own limitations and realize that while you have built a life of unparalleled value and beauty, they remain stuck in the same old routine, too afraid or complacent to evolve. The gap between what you've achieved and what they still cling to is the essence of insecurity. It's the moment when they see that they are no longer on the same level, that the person they once thought they knew has soared to heights they never imagined possible. When your ex feels this deep-seated insecurity, it's a natural outcome of your evolution. They recognize that they can't simply reach out and reclaim you as if you were a possession on a shelf. Instead, they are forced to acknowledge that they have lost something far more valuable than a fleeting relationship. They've lost the chance to be part of a life that continues to grow, flourish, and inspire. In that painful moment of self-reflection, the regret that follows is not a burden you carry, but the undeniable consequence of your transformation. When insecurity strikes, it's like a spotlight shining on every flaw, every missed opportunity, every moment of complacency. It leaves them with a stark choice: either step up and evolve alongside you or accept that they will forever remain in the shadows of what you've become. This raw, unfiltered insecurity is the final shift that cements everything you've built. It's the moment when you are no longer defined by their inability to appreciate your worth, but by your own relentless pursuit of excellence. In the end, this is not about playing mind games or seeking validation through their pain. It's about living a life so full, so vibrant, and so undeniably yours that their regret and insecurity become mere echoes of a past they can never reclaim. You have become the standard against which all else is measured, a beacon of transformation that forces even the most complacent to question their own worth. And that, ultimately, is the most powerful victory of all.